Power Within, Mastering Emotional Intelligence for a Better Life. Written and narrated by Empower Audio. Introduction, the missing key to a fulfilling life. There comes a moment in every person's life when you realize that intelligence alone isn't enough. You can have degrees, achievements, and a list of accomplishments that look perfect on paper, yet still feel lost, reactive, disconnected, or unfulfilled. That moment, the one that humbles you, cracks your pride, and invites you inward, is often the beginning of emotional intelligence. Emotional intelligence, or EQ, is not about suppressing emotions. It's about understanding them. It's about recognizing what's happening inside you before it controls what happens outside you. It's the difference between reacting and responding, between surviving and thriving. I used to think that success meant staying strong, not showing weakness, and controlling my emotions at all costs. But that version of strength is brittle. It breaks under pressure. Real strength, emotional strength, is quiet. It's the kind of strength that allows you to stay calm in chaos, to listen instead of lash out, and to connect rather than defend. People with emotional intelligence don't avoid emotion, they learn from it. They don't let anger drive them, but they listen to what their anger is trying to say. They don't drown in sadness, but they allow it to teach them compassion. And they don't fake happiness, they cultivate joy that's grounded in truth. In this audiobook, you'll learn how to build that kind of strength. You'll explore the 5 pillars of emotional intelligence. Self-awareness, knowing what you feel and why. Self-regulation, managing your emotions so they serve you, not sabotage you. Motivation, finding your internal drive even when life feels heavy. Empathy, understanding others without losing yourself. Social intelligence, building real, honest connections in a world that often values performance over authenticity. We'll go beyond theory. You'll hear real examples, science-backed insights, and daily practices you can start using immediately. Because emotional intelligence isn't something you read about once. It's something you live, breathe, and practice until it becomes your default way of being. The truth is, most people never learn this. We're taught math, grammar, and logic, but not how to process disappointment. We learn how to solve equations, but not how to handle rejection. We learn how to present a confident face, but not how to face our fears. And that's why, despite all our progress and education, so many of us still feel emotionally unprepared for life. Emotional intelligence is the bridge between intellect and intuition, between reaction and reflection, between chaos and peace. This is the foundation for everything else: your relationships, your leadership, your creativity, your success, and your inner peace. So take a deep breath. You're not here to become someone else. You're here to become emotionally whole. Let's begin. Chapter 1, Self-Awareness, the Mirror of the Mind. If emotional intelligence is a house, self-awareness is the ground it's built on. You can't regulate, motivate, or connect if you don't first understand yourself. Self-awareness is the ability to see yourself clearly, your thoughts, emotions, and habits, without judgment. It's the art of noticing what's happening inside you in real time. But here's the challenge. Most people are not self-aware, they are self-conscious. Self-consciousness is when you're stuck thinking about how you appear to others. Self-awareness is when you understand how you appear to yourself. The first step to emotional mastery is learning to notice what you feel before it becomes who you are. The science of self-awareness. Every emotion you feel is a message, a signal from your nervous system. Anger says, a boundary has been crossed. Sadness says, something meaningful was lost. Anxiety says, I'm afraid of what I can't control. Joy says, I'm aligned with what matters. When we ignore those messages, they don't go away, they get louder. When we slow down enough to listen, our emotions become our teachers, not our enemies. Self-awareness activates the prefrontal cortex, the rational part of your brain, which gives you the power to choose your response instead of reacting on autopilot. How to practice self-awareness daily. Name it to tame it. When you feel something intense, don't push it away. Say to yourself, I'm feeling anger or I'm feeling fear. Simply naming an emotion activates awareness and reduces its grip. Track your triggers. Notice what people, places, or situations activate you. Patterns reveal what's unhealed. Every emotional reaction is an opportunity to understand yourself more deeply. Ask better questions. Instead of asking, why is this happening to me? Ask, what is this trying to show me? Observe, don't judge. Your thoughts and feelings are not moral, they're information. Treat them like weather, observe them, but don't identify with them. Create moments of silence. Awareness grows in stillness. Even 2 minutes of quiet reflection each day can help you reconnect with your emotional center. A real-world example. I once worked with a woman named Maya who was brilliant, ambitious, and driven, but constantly exhausted. She couldn't understand why she kept burning out even when she loved her work. When we started exploring her emotions, she realized that her exhaustion wasn't physical, it was emotional. She was spending her energy on pleasing everyone else, saying yes when she meant no, and suppressing her frustration until it turned into fatigue. Once she learned to notice the early signals, that tightness in her chest, the lump in her throat, she began making small shifts. She started setting boundaries, saying no with kindness, and checking in with herself before agreeing to things. In just a few weeks, she didn't just have more energy, she had more peace. That's the power of self-awareness. Reflection moment. Pause for a second and ask yourself, what emotion has been showing up for me the most lately? What might it be trying to teach me? How often do I stop and name what I feel instead of reacting from it? The goal isn't to eliminate emotion, it's to become fluent in it. To know the difference between anger and hurt, between fear and intuition, between sadness and rest. Because once you can name what's happening within you, you can begin to transform it. Affirmation. I understand myself more deeply each day. My emotions are not my weakness, they are my wisdom. Chapter 2, Self-Regulation, Mastering Your Reactions. Imagine this, you're in the middle of a stressful day. An email arrives with criticism you didn't expect. Your heart beats faster, your face flushes, your mind starts writing stories. I'm not appreciated. They don't value me. I'm failing. That instant, your emotional brain, the amygdala, has taken over. It's hijacked your nervous system and sent you into fight, flight, or freeze. This is called an amygdala hijack, and it's the reason so many smart people make bad decisions under pressure. Self-regulation is the skill that stops that hijack in its tracks. It's what allows you to stay calm when others lose control, to pause before reacting, and to turn chaos into clarity. The science of self-regulation. When something triggers you, your brain perceives danger, even if the danger is just someone disagreeing with you. The amygdala, which evolved to keep our ancestors safe from lions, can't tell the difference between physical threat and emotional threat. But here's the good news. You can rewire it. When you pause, breathe, and reframe your thoughts, your prefrontal cortex, the rational decision-making part of your brain, comes back online. That's emotional maturity in motion. Practical tools for self-regulation. The pause practice. Before replying, reacting, or rushing, pause. Take one deep breath in through your nose and exhale through your mouth. That single breath gives your nervous system time to shift from reaction to response. Label the feeling, not the story. Instead of saying, I'm humiliated or they disrespected me, say, I'm feeling anger or I'm feeling hurt. When you name the emotion, you separate your identity from your experience. Reframe the trigger. Ask, what else could this mean? Maybe they weren't attacking you. Maybe they were projecting their own fear. Maybe that delay wasn't rejection, it was redirection. Ground in the body. Your body is the fastest way back to balance. Feel your feet on the ground. Relax your shoulders. Take one conscious breath. Remind yourself, in this moment I am safe. Real-world example, the boardroom calm. I once coached a leader who was brilliant, but had a temper that derailed meetings. Every time someone challenged his idea, he'd snap, and then regret it. We worked on a simple routine. Before each meeting, he took 2 slow breaths and visualized himself staying calm. When tension rose, he silently repeated, "Pause, don't react." Within weeks, his team noticed a difference. Meetings became more productive. He became more respected, not because he changed his ideas, but because he changed his energy. That's the secret of self-regulation. You stop reacting to life and start leading it. Reflection. Ask yourself, when was the last time I reacted and later regretted it? What would have changed if I paused first? How can I remind myself that emotions are messengers, not masters? Affirmation. I choose peace before reaction. I am calm, capable, and in control of my energy. Chapter 3, Motivation, the Inner Fire. Motivation is not just about willpower. It's about emotional energy, the force that moves you toward meaning. You've probably felt the difference between external motivation, chasing validation, approval, or rewards, and internal motivation, moving from purpose, joy, or alignment. One fades quickly, the other fuels you for life. Emotionally intelligent people don't wait to feel motivated. They build systems that keep their fire alive. The heart of motivation. Every goal, no matter how big, starts with a feeling. You don't want a promotion, you want to feel valued. You don't want just money, you want freedom. You don't want a relationship, you want connection. When you connect your goals to their emotional roots, your motivation deepens. You stop running on pressure and start running on purpose. That's why emotionally intelligent motivation isn't about forcing yourself, it's about aligning yourself. The 3 types of motivation. Fear-based motivation. I have to do this or I'll fail. This works short-term, but leads to stress, burnout, and resentment. Ego-based motivation. I'll do this to prove them wrong. This gives a spark, but it's unstable because when approval fades, so does your drive. Purpose-based motivation. I do this because it matters. This is sustainable motivation, grounded in meaning, growth, and contribution. Ask yourself, what kind of motivation am I running on right now? How to reignite your inner fire. Connect to your why. Every morning, remind yourself why you do what you do. Write it down, feel it, speak it. Emotion fuels consistency. Visualize the feeling, not just the goal. Don't just picture success, feel how success would feel. Gratitude, freedom, pride. The brain doesn't know the difference between vividly imagined emotion and reality. Use that to your advantage. Make progress visible. Motivation thrives on evidence. Track your wins, even the small ones. Every checkmark tells your mind, I'm capable. Create emotional anchors. Music, quotes, rituals, anything that reminds you of your strength. Motivation isn't constant, but you can design cues that reignite it when it dims. Real-world example, the marathon mindset. A client of mine, Ravi, wanted to start his own wellness business but kept procrastinating. He said, I just don't feel motivated. When we dug deeper, he realized his why was weak. He was chasing money, not meaning. Once he reconnected to his purpose, helping others find balance and healing, something that had changed his own life, everything shifted. He began waking up earlier, creating content, reaching out to clients. Not because he suddenly had more energy, but because his heart was back in it. Emotional intelligence and motivation. Motivation without emotional intelligence burns out. Emotional intelligence without motivation stagnates. Together, they create unstoppable momentum. When you can feel deeply and act decisively, you embody emotional power. You no longer need external validation to keep going, because your fuel comes from within. Reflection. Ask yourself, what am I working toward that truly matters to me? What emotions am I chasing beneath my goals? Where can I bring more purpose into my daily routines? Affirmation. My purpose fuels my progress. I act from meaning, not from fear. Chapter 4, Empathy, Seeing Through Another's Eyes. If self-awareness is the mirror and self-regulation is the anchor, then empathy is the bridge, the link between your world and someone else. Empathy is the ability to understand and feel what another person is experiencing, without judgment, without trying to fix, and without losing yourself in their emotions. It is not weakness. It is not emotional overload. It is one of the most powerful forms of intelligence we can ever develop. What empathy really means. Most people think empathy means absorbing others' pain. But true empathy is about understanding, not absorbing. It's the quiet courage to sit beside someone in their storm. To say, I see you, instead of, here, how to fix it. It's being present enough to listen, curious enough to care, and wise enough to know that sometimes the best thing you can do is simply stay. The 3 levels of empathy. Cognitive empathy, understanding thoughts. This is empathy of the mind. It's the ability to understand what someone might be thinking and why. It helps in communication, conflict resolution, and leadership. Emotional empathy, feeling what others feel. This is empathy of the heart. It's when you can sense what another person is feeling. Like when your friend's voice cracks and you feel your own throat tighten. Compassionate empathy, caring enough to act. This is empathy in action. It's when understanding and feeling turn into care, not pity, not rescuing, but genuine support rooted in respect. The power of listening. In a world that moves too fast, listening is a lost art. Most people don't listen to understand, they listen to reply. Empathy requires the opposite, to slow down and give someone the gift of being fully heard. When you listen deeply, you tell another person, you matter, your experience matters. That moment of being seen is healing. It's what turns conversations into connection. Real-world example, the coffee shop conversation. A young barista once told me about a regular customer, a grumpy older man who always complained. Most of her coworkers avoided him, but one morning she simply asked, "Rough day?" He paused, surprised, and after a moment said, "Actually, it's been rough for months. I just lost my wife." That simple act of empathy changed everything. He softened, he began to smile. And that coffee shop became the one place where he felt human again. You never know what someone is carrying. Empathy gives them space to set it down, even for a moment. Boundaries and empathy. Empathy without boundaries turns into emotional exhaustion. To stay compassionate, you must also stay centered. Remind yourself, I can care deeply without carrying it all. You don't have to fix everyone's pain to honor their humanity. When you learn to stay open-hearted and grounded, you embody balanced empathy. Strong enough to feel, wise enough to let go. Affirmation. I see others with compassion and clarity. My empathy connects me, not drains me. Chapter 5, Social Intelligence, the Art of Connection. If empathy is the heart of emotional intelligence, social intelligence is its expression, how that heart connects to the world. Social intelligence is the ability to navigate relationships with awareness, respect, and authenticity. It's about reading energy as much as words, understanding when to speak and when to listen, and creating an atmosphere where people feel safe to be real. The foundation of connection, safety. Every healthy relationship, at home, at work, or in community, is built on emotional safety. People open up when they feel safe, not judged. They contribute more when they feel trusted, not monitored. Socially intelligent people know how to create that safety. They practice calm tone, curious questions, and consistent presence. They lead with listening instead of lecturing. When you make others feel seen and respected, they naturally rise to meet you there. The power of presence. Presence is one of the rarest gifts you can give another person. When you put down your phone, make eye contact, and give someone your full attention, they feel it. They feel valued. Presence builds connection faster than charm, status, or words. It's the universal language of care. Reading emotional cues. Social intelligence also means reading between the lines. Sometimes people won't say they're hurt, but you can feel it in their silence. Sometimes they won't ask for help, but you can sense it in their eyes. Pay attention to tone, body language, and energy. When in doubt, ask gently, "Are you okay?" Or, "It feels like something's off, do you want to talk about it?" Those small moments of awareness can shift entire relationships. Handling conflict with emotional maturity. Emotionally intelligent communication isn't about avoiding conflict. It's about handling it consciously. When tension arises, remember. Stay curious, not defensive. Ask questions instead of building walls. Speak from I statements. Say, "I felt overlooked," instead of "you ignored me." Seek understanding, not victory. The goal isn't to win, it's to connect. Conflict, handled with awareness, deepens respect. It transforms relationships instead of breaking them. Leadership and influence. Great leaders are emotionally intelligent communicators. They inspire not by authority, but by empathy. They listen, they validate, they bring calm into chaos. Leadership isn't about being in charge, it's about being connected. When people feel seen by you, they naturally want to follow your example. Real-world example, the team transformation. A manager I once worked with struggled to keep her team motivated. Deadlines were missed, morale was low, and she blamed laziness. But when we assessed her emotional leadership style, she realized her team felt unseen. She rarely gave positive feedback, only corrections. She began practicing appreciation, not flattery, but genuine acknowledgement. Within a month, productivity soared. Her team didn't change, she did. When leaders grow emotionally, teams evolve naturally. Reflection. Ask yourself, how do I make others feel when they're around me? Do I listen to understand or to respond? Am I as emotionally safe for others as I want them to be for me? Affirmation. I connect with authenticity and grace. My presence creates peace wherever I go. Chapter 6, Emotional Healing, Rewiring Old Patterns. You can't master emotional intelligence without healing what shaped your emotions in the first place. We all carry emotional patterns that were written long before we could understand them. They began in childhood, when we learned which emotions were allowed and which ones weren't. Maybe you were praised for being quiet, so you learned to silence yourself. Maybe you were told not to cry, so you learned to shut down sadness. Maybe love was unpredictable, so you learned to keep your guard up. Those early emotional lessons become invisible rules. They whisper things like, "Don't be too much. Don't need anyone. Stay strong." But here's the truth. Those rules kept you safe once. They protected you when you didn't have the tools or power to process your feelings. Now they're outdated. Healing means updating the emotional system you built to survive, so it can help you thrive. Awareness is the first step. You can't heal what you don't see. When you start noticing your emotional patterns, you take your power back. Ask yourself, what emotion do I resist the most? What do I do when I feel uncomfortable? Do I distract, shut down, or attack? Who taught me that emotion wasn't safe? Awareness doesn't blame, it explains. And when you understand, you release yourself from shame. The practice of emotional healing. Feel it to free it. Emotions that are repressed don't disappear, they store in the body. Allow yourself to feel your sadness, anger, or fear fully. When you let emotion move, it no longer controls you. Reparent yourself. Give yourself the compassion you didn't receive. When your inner critic gets loud, respond like a loving parent. It's okay, you're safe now. I'm here for you. Rewrite the story. Instead of saying I'm broken, say, I'm learning. Instead of I'm too sensitive, say, I feel deeply and that's my strength. Healing is rewriting your internal narrative until it matches your truth. Forgive for freedom, not for approval. Forgiveness isn't saying what happened was okay. It's saying you refuse to carry the pain any longer. It's an act of liberation, not permission. Real-world example, the father and the wall. A client named Jacob grew up with a father who never said, I'm proud of you. He spent decades chasing validation, through work, relationships, and success. But the emptiness never went away. When we began healing work, Jacob realized he wasn't chasing his father's approval anymore. He was chasing his own. Through reflection and compassion, he began giving himself what he'd been waiting to hear. You're enough, you've done well. It took time, but he broke the pattern. That's emotional healing, turning wounds into wisdom. Affirmation. I am free to feel, free to heal, and free to grow. My past shaped me, but it does not define me. Chapter 7. Integrating emotional intelligence into daily life. Emotional intelligence isn't just a skill to practice when life feels easy. It's a way of living, a mindset, a rhythm, a daily choice. When you begin living emotionally aware, the small moments matter most. It's not what you say when everything's calm. It's how you respond when life gets messy. At work. Emotional intelligence at work isn't about being overly nice. It's about being emotionally steady. It's the ability to give feedback with respect, handle stress with grace, and lead with empathy instead of ego. Emotionally intelligent professionals communicate clearly, listen more than they speak, and don't let pressure steal their presence. They understand that composure is power. In relationships, emotional intelligence turns ordinary relationships into healing spaces. It teaches you to express instead of explode, to listen instead of fix, to love without losing yourself. When conflict arises, remember, it's not you vs them, it's both of you versus the problem. That mindset shifts everything. In daily habits, small habits create emotional harmony. Gratitude, write down one good thing each night. Reflection, ask, what emotion led my decisions today? Stillness, take 1 minute to breathe before reacting. These micro-practices build emotional stability over time. Your nervous system learns that peace is safe. The gift of imperfection. Living emotionally intelligent doesn't mean you'll never lose your cool again. It means you'll recover faster, understand deeper, and love wider. Emotional intelligence is not perfection, it's progress. Every misstep becomes a lesson, every reaction an opportunity for awareness. Affirmation. I bring emotional awareness into everything I do. My presence is my power. Chapter 8. Living from the Heart. The Future of Human Intelligence. We've spent centuries celebrating the power of the mind, logic, strategy, innovation. But the next evolution of humanity will come from the heart. In a world overflowing with information, emotional intelligence is what brings wisdom. It's what transforms data into understanding, competition into collaboration, and progress into peace. When you live from the heart, you don't become naive, you become awake. You stop chasing what's impressive and start nurturing what's important. You listen more, rush less, love better. Emotional intelligence as a global shift. Imagine a world where emotional maturity is as valued as intelligence tests. Where schools teach empathy alongside math. Where workplaces measure leaders by emotional safety, not just profit. Where families talk about feelings without fear. That's not idealistic, that's possible. And it begins with you. Every person who becomes emotionally intelligent raises the consciousness of everyone around them. Your calm helps others regulate. Your empathy heals others' shame. Your awareness inspires others to grow. You don't need to change the world. You only need to live your truth, and the world changes through you. Final reflection. Take a deep breath. Think of how far you've come, the awareness you've gained, the peace you've begun to create. Confidence is not the absence of emotion. It's the ability to move with emotion. Healing is not forgetting. It's forgiving yourself for surviving the way you had to. And emotional intelligence is not about control. It's about connection to yourself, to others, and to life itself. Closing affirmation. I'm emotionally aware, grounded and free. I trust my emotions, I honor my truth, and I live from my heart. End of audiobook. The Power Within. Mastering Emotional Intelligence for a Better Life. Written and narrated by Empower Audio.